G'day, I'm Steve Lanchester and welcome to Full Bore. On this episode, we're pulling the motor and gearbox out of this BJ40 chassis in preparation for doing all the rust repairs on it because it's a rusty boy. Let's get cracking on this episode of Full Bore. As you might be able to tell from the sweat that's accumulating around my armpits, it's mighty hot here in the northern regions of New South Wales, and I've got to say, what a perfect day to work on a 40 series Land Cruiser, because any day is a good day to work on a 40 series. So the plan today is to remove this engine, gearbox, the drive shafts, the whole shebang-a-bang in preparations for the rust repair on the front end of this chassis. I've got to say, a lot of it, or most of the chassis, is in actually pretty good nick. It looks like it's been sprayed with some sort of rust preventative in the past, but this frontal region here is actually a bit worse for wear. That's bits of rust and chassis literally just raining. Anyway. Ugh. Just a few things to do. Fuel lines on that side, got the earth strap off this side, 2 engine mount bolts on either side on the actual engine, 4 gearbox bolts, and 8 drive shaft bolts have to be removed as well, so we'll get cracking on them. The hardest part of the equation is the drive shaft bolts, but what we're going to try and do is take the engine and gearbox out as one piece and then split it on the ground so I can put the 3B on the engine stand and start having a look at that. I'm not a diesel person. I've never owned a diesel before. Like legit, this is the first diesel I have ever owned out of the many cars I've owned. I kind of like the smell of diesel. Hey, it's sort of getting used to it. I like it. It's different. It's unusual. Now that is a thick boy. Wow, this is one big boy gearbox, that's for sure. Oh no, it's peeing. Oh, peed on my phone. Ah. This is gonna be heavy, boy. Oh, diesel flywheels. So what we have here, boys and girls, is a Toyota B engine. Now this is a naturally aspirated 3-litre diesel found in a huge variety of different trucks and what have you, and of course my 40 series Land Cruiser. They made these things from 1974 up until like the early 2000s in derivatives of this engine, and they were actually in a lot of cases made by Hino Motors, which is a subsidiary of Toyota. I believe Toyota also built them, and so did Daihatsu, and I've got an odd suspicion that this particular engine was made by Daihatsu because it actually says it on the oil cap. Whether or not somebody lost the oil cap, found this one and chucked on it, I'm not too sure. But maybe a bit more detective work will find that out for us. So they made these in a huge number of derivatives, as I said earlier, the most prolific being the 3B diesel, which is found in a lot of short wheelbase and mid wheelbase 70 series Land Cruisers, and of course the BJ42, which is the last of the 40 series. The reason I've got this thing here on the stand is because I'm actually going to strip it down, and the reason being is that if you believe the odometer in the 40 series, this thing has 400,000 Ks on it. Some of you may be saying that this thing's only just worn in, but really I just want to check to make sure it's all schmick inside. I might chuck a set of big end bearings in it, and of course I'm going to check the head, because these things were pretty renowned for cracking the head. So what we'll do is we'll strip it right down, keep all the fasteners. It doesn't actually look like it's been pulled apart in the past, and if it has, I think the sump may have been pulled off. The reason I say that is that all the fasteners on the motor, the hexes on them are absolutely immaculate. It looks like nobody's ever put the wrong spanner or gacked them off and stuff like that. So I'm going to try and keep them in as nice a condition as physically possible. Anyway, what we'll do is we'll get cracking now that I've finished talking about all the specs. I could talk about engines all day, any day, but we'll get cracking and see what we find. Wow, that's a heavy head. Okay, so we've got the head off this thick boy. I've got to say, straight off the bat, nothing catastrophic. It's in pretty good nick. It rotates really nice and smoothly. The bores don't have any major scoring or anything, and personally I reckon somebody has taken really good care of this motor in the past. If you look at how clean just everything is, it's just immaculate.
I wish that could be said for the rest of the car, but hey. The bores are in good nick. They're a bit worn. The cross hatching is really, really faint. As for the head, which is sitting to the right of me here, once again, that's in really good nick, but there is some really, really fine cracking between the two valves in cylinders 1 and 4. And I mean, like, hairline. I'm not quite sure as to what the go is with that. For the price of a new head, I might as well chuck a new head on. That, to be honest, this thing could probably do another 300,000 Ks without doing a rebuild, but hey, I've got it all apart, it's out of the engine, I might as well get a professional opinion on it and then go from there, because there's no point doing up the rest of the car just to have the motor be clapped out. Because, you know, I want to be able to take this thing to Cape York any day of the week and not have any issues with the motor, because they are, of course, pretty darn bulletproof. I might get Davo the mechanical wizard to have a bit of a squiz at this, and we'll go from there. Regardless of my unprofessional opinion on this motor, I can safely say that it's definitely good enough for me to keep and do up in the future for this project. And whether or not I do the full shebang-a-bang and rebuild it from the ground up, or just chuck a hone through it and a set of rings, will be something that you'll soon see on a future episode of Full Bore.